Hey there, welcome to the Effortless Income Formula. This is a work from home business plan that I've put together for you. First things first, we have some housekeeping to cover. Welcome to the course. This is an actionable business plan that you can put into effect immediately. All you have to do is study and follow the steps that I give you. Point here is to earn money solving problems, and we're going to do that for business owners. And we could do this for both large and small businesses. Now, who this course is going to apply to will be your consultants, your freelancers, and of course, people who want to do something like this. And, that's you. That's why you're here, right? Okay, what I want to do now is just cover the course. So we'll go through just quickly and I'll tell you what's inside of it. First, we have the big picture. You'll learn a little bit about me, what you'll be doing. I'll show you some testimonials from some students that have gone through this and other courses. I'll tell you how to get support. So if you get stuck or if you need me to explain something, you can reach out. And of course, where you can get all your bonus materials, which I've put together quite the package for you that's really going to make you get things done faster, cheaper, really bring some results to you really quickly. Next, I want to cover how to get started. And these are the tools and the skills that you need to do this work from home consulting business. And we're going to tell you really kind of define what working from home as a consultant is and how it works. I also want to fail-proof you. I'm going to give you a couple of tips. And when I say a couple of tips, there's actually a sizable amount of information here. So we're going to try our best to ensure your success so that you can actually make this work for you. It's really only a matter of persistence, but we'll get into that. In section 3, we'll talk about the basics of business development, and this is more or less an overview of sales. We're going to work backwards for results, and you'll understand what that means when you get to section 3. But we have to first know that audiences are not products. We don't really sell products. We sell solutions to an audience. We don't try and come up with a product and then try and find an audience to buy it. No, that's just silly. We come up with an audience, or we find an audience first, and we create products and solutions for them. Now, this is more or less direct marketing. And now direct marketing differs. It is not branding. Branding is, hey, I'm carrying a sign. Look, this stuff is great. Soda does branding. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, all the commercials. That's all branding. We're going to be doing direct marketing. And that's reaching out and convincing business owners to take action on our offers. We'll talk about finding products or services with good margins, very essential to doing sales and business development. How to grow that client's value so that, you can make more money per client, which you'll learn in a later section, while this is the most critical aspect of doing any type of consulting. Then in section 4, we'll cover setting up your business. So I'll just give you some practical approaches so you can get started quickly. This is not meant to be a professional grade setup for your business. There are professionals out there who could do that better than I could. So you'd want to talk to them, and we get into that in this section. But, we'll briefly cover your websites, your business cards, your contact information, your proposals, and everything that is really kind of falls in the category of marketing material or marketing collateral. We'll also talk a little bit about some shortcuts that you can take to get this particular step done quickly. In section 5, we'll talk more about prospecting, and this is really getting into the nitty-gritty of the course and the business plan as I'm presenting it to you, is that we're going to uncover and analyze and understand the client's problem first and then have a solution to offer them. It's not come up with the solution first and then find the people who have the problems. You got to flip that around. You got to do problems first, and that really problems first represents customers first and the solution second. We'll look at the solution that I came up for you, what the opportunity is, and what the demand is for it. We'll talk about the local profiles on why they are a gold mine. And then we'll look at all the prospecting methods available to us to find these persons and business owners. And then, of course, how to take action, how to reach out to them, and how to make those offers. Section 6, we'll talk about the direct marketing aspect of this. Remember, not branding, direct marketing. So now direct marketing is the methods for reaching out directly. I mean, that's really simple. I mean, it's almost so simple that I feel silly for having written it like this. But it really is not complex, and obviously it's overgeneralized. We'll get into the more details of it when we get to section 6. But just know that, we're going to be doing direct outreach, chasing them. We're going after business owners. We'll also be selling on their terms. And what that means is more or less that we'll be using a benefit-driven offer. Now, of course, we drive our offers with benefits always, because that's why people buy things. They buy because there's a benefit. There's something in it for them. We do not use features. In fact, features are a sales executioner. So we're going to be highlighting the fact that benefits and features, only one of them is what's going to help you make that sale. We'll also talk about fear as a motivator. Fear of loss is a big part of that, and we discussed that in section 6. And then we'll cover the calls to action, things that make business owners respond to our offers. And then added to that is both urgency and scarcity, which are kind of synonymous. These things are what compels people to take action now. In section 7, we'll specifically discuss cold email selling, and that's how to use email to get leads and to make sales with business owners. I've given you some templates that will open the door. That's part of the bonus that I put together for you. We'll talk about list building and autoresponders. We'll also talk about writing specific emails that are fear-based and that use urgency and scarcity to get people to act now on your offers. We'll also throw in sections on how to use social proof and how to leverage and, of course, obtain it. And then, of course, the email call to action. Calls to action are almost method appropriate. And we'll talk a little bit, obviously, we'll talk more about that later. But you would have different calls to action based on what you're doing and how you're selling. Then in section 8, we'll talk about cold call selling. All right, selling over the telephone. This might make you squirm in your chair a little bit, but some people don't really like the telephone. It is not required, but let me tell you, it gets you fast results. So if you are the type of person who has some bravery, and you know what, some people are very good on the phone, some people are natural. Personally, I love the telephone. When I first started making sales calls, I had a lot of fear. I had some fear of rejection. Mostly my fears were not knowing what to say, and that was the biggest thing that dissuaded me. So what I plan to do is give you the things you need to say. And how am I going to do that? And how I do that is I'm going to give you some sales scripts to work with, and I'm going to basically walk you through the methods that I use to come up with what to say, and then, of course, how to write those sales pitches. And then, once you write them, you have to know how to deliver them. So we'll talk a little bit about the tonality on how you should posture yourself and how you should say things. We'll put a dedicated video in there just for that, because that's very important. And in fact, how you say things is sometimes more important than what you say. Lastly, for this section, we'll talk about hiring out telephone sales, because there are a lot of opportunities out there. Like I said, telephone sales are some of the best ways to get fast results. Well, if you don't want to do it for yourself, or you don't feel like you're capable, or perhaps you're a little scared, there are people out there you can hire to do the work for you. And some of them will only work on commission, so you don't actually have to have any out-of-pocket expense. But we'll get into details in that in Section 8. Covering Section 9. This is the cold mailer selling. This is selling with mailers, with a hard letter or postcard or something that we send to them. We'll talk about the templates I've included for you. I'll give you a walkthrough of a mailer, talk a little bit about the physicality of a mailer, the actual letter or the postcard or the brochure, whatever it is that you're sending. In Section 10, we'll cover servicing the client. And this is more or less how to claim their online profiles, which in the basic sense, if you really distilled it down to its basic component, is the reputation management. We'll talk about what's known as NAP, or the name, address, and phone number, which a surprising number of businesses do not have, either on an unclaimed site or a claimed site. Tends to be either old or outdated. We want to be able to update that, and we'll talk about the best ways and how to do that in Section 10. We'll look at reviews as a service. Now, this does not mean that we are writing reviews. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We are going to provide mechanisms for business owners to accumulate good reviews. And I may not have to explain this to you. You may already understand that reviews are perhaps the most compelling social proof you can have. You have good reviews, other people will be more comfortable buying and continue to buy. I've included some simple review software as part of the bonus package. This you're going to like. It's not, anything really complex. You could set it up in about 15 minutes or have an outsourcer set it up for you in $5, and he'll probably take 5 minutes to do it too. Not very complex stuff, but has a high impact on your customers. And this is something that you can offer business owners and charge extra for. So I think you're going to like that too. We want to talk about preempting both positive and negative reviews, how to get in between and in front of that conversation. This is going to be a great section for you. Even if you have some experience doing this already, you may not know this particular tactic. And then lastly, we'll talk about monitoring and alerts. Very important. Once you set something up like a review system, you want to be able to have metrics and understand, are we having an effect? In section 11, we'll talk about outsourcing this business. And this is one of my favorite sections because we can get other people to do the work for us. Look, people become successful and set up businesses and hire people because they don't really want to do any work. Our natural state is to try and do as little work as possible, and that's what this section's all about. So, work your strengths, hire your weaknesses, but also hire people to help you work more efficiently. We'll talk about the white label and resellers available to us. White label service or reseller being some service, let's say reputation management, that they will actually do the work for you, and they'll do it under your flag or your brand. So the client themselves will never know that an outsourcer is actually doing this for you because that outsourcer represents you. Talk a little bit about the outsourcing products and services that are available and how they relate to this course and business plan. We'll talk about the sales opportunities, have other people do the sales for you. And then, of course, the busy work, which tends to take up a lot of the time, is the little busy work, the nitty gritty. How to outsource that, do that cheaply, and save ourselves a lot of time and money doing it. Then in section 12, we'll talk about the long-term business plan. This, and I hate using this phrase, but it was just so appropriate, is the growth hacking of it. Really looking at what we're doing. Here's our business plan. Here's how we make money. How can we grow this? How can we turn this into, okay, I'm making some side money, into I can quit my job, or this is awesome, I can have somebody run this for me and keep my job and make twice the income that I normally do. Talk about planning the future. Very important. You have to think long term. We'll plan the future for you. I'll give you a nice little direction on how you might be able to do that. We'll talk about getting referrals, which are huge for long-term business, because remember, you say, hey, can I speak to someone? Do you know anybody who could use this? You do that enough, and over time you start accumulating almost like tracks that come back to you. So 6 weeks ago you asked somebody for a referral. They might know somebody. They remember that you asked them if they knew anyone, and they'll circle back with you. So this is a great way to grow your business, and we'll discuss that at length inside of the section 12. We'll talk more about long-term relationships and how valuable they are. So I called it LTR, but we'll talk about that. And then also we'll talk about high ticket, how to get those big whale clients, the big businesses that pay big fees. And then lastly, how to handle those bad clients, those ones that are like anchors around our neck that always seem to slow us down, make us beg to get paid, and all that other unhappy stuff. We'll talk about that in section 12. Section 13, talk about upselling. Now, if you didn't know this already, selling to existing clients is much easier than getting new clients. It's very important when you want to scale your business to keep offering things to the people who have already purchased from you. I think the figure is 30%. 30%, if you offer something to an existing customer or client, at least in retail, you can see upwards of 30% more spending from your existing client base, from someone who has already spent money with you. This is going to be reflected in consulting and in practically any type of service-related business. So that's something that we want to do and something that we touch on in this section. We will learn that everybody needs a website. I know this seems kind of basic, but it's true. And with all the new businesses that are coming out and all the businesses that are running that don't have proper websites, the ability to offer and sell a website, at least get them to buy something that relates to a website, really adds to the bottom line. Talk about how expanding what they have now in terms of functions or functionality. For example, a restaurant, Let's say they have a Facebook page. Well, did you know that Facebook rolled out this online ordering button recently where somebody can just, on the fan page, click order and put an order together and boom, they make more money. That's just a very, brief example of what we'll touch on in the section. But that's an example of expanding today's functionality. So what they do now, they accept takeout orders, but they don't have online ordering. Expand the functionality of that. We'll also talk about selling to niche businesses. We'll discuss some of the opportunities available. Upselling, search engine optimization. When you have a website, when you have promotions and offers, you want to be able to leverage search customers to actually, make money off of the functions and features that you've added. So we'll talk a little bit about upselling that. And then, of course, we'll talk about mobile websites and apps, another great way to add high ticket upsells to your clients. And then lastly, a social media push. It's actually not lastly. There's one more. But yeah, we'll talk about the social media push on how, content, setting up pages, and then curation or administration of their pages is also a big monthly ticket item that you can sell. And now, for sure, lastly, the plug and play different service modules that are available to you so that, we can just keep selling them different things. Now, section 14 is more or less the last section, or second to last section. We'll talk about launching this, and we'll talk about launching it today. I'm not really putting together days of content for you. You could, in essence, sit down and go through this course in one day and put it into action. That may not be realistic because, you know what, most of us, we have our attention spans, right? If you look at a website, people have attention spans of about 7 seconds, and I think it could be as low. One study I think was as low as 4 seconds, right? But when you're doing these types of courses and you're either learning something new or looking for a new tactic or method, sometimes it's best to digest things in small chunks. Think about them, study them, take notes, study those notes, and then move on once you have a good, strong understanding. So, but you can launch this today. You could start doing, if you finish this course today, by the time you finish it, you can actually start doing a launch, start doing, client prospecting, for example, or picking a niche and a location to target. You could do that today. So you could start taking action right now after you obviously finish the course. These are the first steps that you will take, and I will do my best to walk you through every step you need to do. Of course, when you consider launching today, it's not about motivation. It's more about movement. It's about that taking that action and doing something, not sitting around and saying, hey, I need to find motivation. I need to motivate myself to do this. No, that doesn't work like that, and I'll explain to you why in the section. We'll talk a little bit about working together if you need some help or if you want me to help you directly. I have a section on that too. And then lastly, in section 15, our final section, I'm going to give you a reading list. These are the books that I've studied over the years that have really helped me become a marketer and a direct salesman, an advertiser, a developer. These books are essential reading. You should definitely get them and study them and read them repeatedly. I'll also drop some quick tips on you, more or less a summary of what you've learned and how to take action, how to get started now. And I'm going to motivate you. It's going to be very difficult to motivate you because remember what I said, movement over motivation. I'm going to try and give you the steps and ideas and methods to make movement. And that movement is a charge forward. So that's the overview. I hope you're excited to get into this course. I was very excited to put it together. So if you're ready, let's go.